But together we make up the Savage Detectives, and don't let the name fool you. We ain't men of the law by no means. We're two of the most rough and tumble outlaws from the dusty trails of West Philadelphia. Hell, I once seen Carl stick up the satellite coffee shop for a pound of espresso with nothing but a banjo string and a jaw harp. And me, well, I just steal stories. Well, this story I have for y'all tonight, I heard from some South Philly hillbilly named Jolie while I was down at Bob and Barbara's shooting dice and getting drunk. It's a story of the Fairmount Kid. Now, the story starts down in South Philly. He was just known as the Kid then. Got himself into a little bit of trouble, started messing around with Sheriff Rizzo's daughter. Well, the sheriff threw the book at him, signed him to 2 years hard labor down on Oregon Avenue, working on a chain gang next to an old man named Cal Muddy. Now, Cal liked the Kid, and they'd start jabbing and jawing all day about this and that, and Cal started teaching him a few guitar chords. The Kid got mighty good, but he was a restless type, kind not to be chained down. So one day, one of those hot South Philly days where they pull the plug out the fire hydrant, they fill the streets with water, he got to shaking his ankle. They saw his chance, and they started shaking, and he started shaking, and he started shaking until it popped right out of that chain, and he dove into 11th Street when it was filled with water and made swimming for it. Warden was hot on his trail, chasing him all the way across Washington Avenue, but he couldn't catch the Kid. The Kid made it to Queen Village. Well, we don't know much about the Kid for those years. Some say he was out swooning young maidens or swooning hipsters, something like that in Queen Village. Another drink. So one day the Kid found himself down at the Honey Jar, and he got himself in a card game with the boys from Hoots and Hellmouth. Now I don't know what that rascal did. He must have put that ace of spades underneath his hat or slipped the Queen of Hearts up his sleeve, but he crossed Hellmouth Gray. And everybody knows you never cross Hellmouth Gray in a card game. So Hellmouth pulled out his pistol and said, "Reach for it!" And at that moment, Scott Pryor jumped up and pulled him out of that house. Gave him a place to stay, holding him up for 2 weeks at his place. But the Kid spent all his time drinking his whiskey, hitting on his women. Scott said it was time to cut the Kid loose. So we let him go, back out to the streets of Philadelphia. Walking down Broad Street, keeping Williams Penn's hat in line view. All of a sudden next to him, a caravan pulled up with some sisters. Said they were from the hills of Brooklyn. Called themselves the Sweetback Sisters. And they asked the Kid, "Hey, we got a gig tonight at the fire. You know how to get there?" And he said, "Well, if you got a guitar, I do." And they said, "All right." So he hopped in, and he started riding with them. Now the Kid heard the legend about the fire, and legend has it that the devil hangs out around there, making deals with musicians. They'll get a little bit of fame, but they'll always be back playing there again. Now, the Kid walked through those doors like he was walking through the gates of hell himself. And who do you think the first person he should see sitting on that bar stool but the devil himself? Well, the Kid, he got down and he started drinking, he started bragging and boasting about this and that. And he told the devil that he was the fastest guitar player in all of Philadelphia and he'd put any amount of money on it. Well, the devil liked the odds, so he took the bet. And that night, the Kid took the stage with the Sweetback Sisters. And when he got up there, he started playing so fast and furious, fast and furious, fast and furious, fast and furious. And the Sweetback Sisters started yelling, and the devil stood up because he was not going to lose his bet. And then all of a sudden, Hezekiah Jones rushed to the stage, playing a sweet, sweet song of the Mississippi Sea. Just you and me. And everybody calmed down. The Sweetback Sisters went back to playing. The devil sat down and sipped his drink. And Hezekiah turned around because he was going to exorcise the demon right out of that Kid. But the Kid had already hightailed it out of there, heading across the city, running across the Schuylkill River to the World Cafe Saloon. Now when he got there, he had heard that one of the most beautiful songstresses to ever serve drinks was waiting tables that night. He decided he was going to go look for her. So when he first sat down, he knew exactly who Bertie Bush was. By the first drink, he'd already asked her to marry him. By the fourth drink, he started talking about kids, a house, and Bertie turned to him and said, "Kid, I ain't trying to make a man out of you, and you sure as hell ain't gonna make a woman out of me. By the way, I got a man, and if he comes here and sees you like this, he's gonna be mighty sore." Well, the kid took no heed. That was until the West Philly Wheeze walked through that door. His hunting cap on, his lap steel in his hand. The kid didn't know what was in that case, and he took off right past the Wheeze. Well, the Wheeze turned around. He didn't know what was going on. Then Birdie told him what had happened. So he hightailed it out of there. He caught up the whole cavalry. He caught up Scott Pryor, Hoots and Helmouth, Hezekiah Jones, the Sweetback Sigils. Hell, they even called the whole Wissahick and Chicken Shack. And they chased that bull away into Fairmount Park. Now, there's 3 different stories about what happened to the kid that night. The first one goes is that cavalry caught up with him. West Philly Wheeze strung him up. Boys from Hoots and Helmouth got the rope ready. Hezekiah Jones read him his last rites, and they hung that boy from a chestnut tree. The second story goes that he fell in with those Mount Airy cowboys riding around the Northwest, heading all the way out to Tioga County, where he's never seen again. And the third story goes that he took one look at that cavalry coming up, looked at the Schuylkill River, and he jumped in, making a swim for it downstream, where he picked himself up in a nice country life with a wife, a house, and 3 daughters we call the Sisters 3. Now, I don't know which story is true. Some of those musicians are here tonight. There's no trust in me. I'm just an outlaw. But legend does have it that if you go down to the Schuylkill Trail late at night and you put your ear to the water, when the coaches stop riding on the Kelly Trail and the old 76 highway, you can hear some of the kids' music playing off the river, floating on down to Philadelphia, making that folk music that y'all are going to hear tonight. So please, enjoy yourself, listen for the kid, and have yourselves a good time. Thank y'all very much for listening.